Why it's always darkest before the dawn. Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. So many times people don't get the idea of what that expression means until they actually go through it. Which means not always, but many times it's darkest before the dawn. What the darkness is, or the darkest, it's when you feel like giving up hope. It's when you think that nothing's gonna turn around or go in your favor. It's when you don't see a way out. It's when you believe that the walls are caving in on you. It's when you believe you just lost everything that you ever worked hard to become a part of or to build. It's when you understand that there are people out there that really didn't have your best interest at heart. It's when you begin to wrap your head around what narcissism is. It's when you begin to understand that, yeah, you've been to hell and back probably multiple times. It's when you begin to realize that you were not formally educated on the narcissistic abusive cycle. You didn't know that toxicity had two legs. You didn't know that people who walked like you and talked like you and claimed to have your upbringing or your background, or quite the opposite, actually would become your abuser, your manipulator, the person who would place you and trap you in that zombie-like, trance-like state, which is known as the narcissistic fog, maybe even the trauma bond. You didn't know those things. If you did, you would have run for the hills. You would have gotten as far away from that person as you could have. Again, you didn't know that, and the person you were considering was wearing a mask. So the darkest, it's always darkest before the dawn. Now, again, that doesn't apply all the time, but it applies way more than you would know. Think about how many times, this is before you met the narcissist, think about how many times you had a close call in your life. Maybe, example, you were studying for a test and you need to pass your geometry class to graduate high school, or algebra, or whatever it was, physics, and you didn't know the math that well, and you were praying, please just let me pass this class. If I pass this, I'll get through high school, I'll get my diploma or degree, whatever it's called, and I can go on to a higher level of education. But you were really hoping, really thinking that you weren't going to pass. Yes, this is a true life example of yours truly. It wasn't with a specific math class. It was something that I wasn't sure if I was going to graduate high school. But guess what? I did. And the week leading up to my final exams, two of them, one was in math, one was in a different category, I wasn't certain if I was going to graduate. I did. But you see, I was thinking it was not going to get good for me. I was thinking I was going to get stuck. Well, what happened? I graduated with my class of 251 students at a school not to be named. The rest is history. That's one example. Another example is, let's say that you were driving on the freeway, and this probably happened to you multiple times, and you were testing the limits of your gas tank, saying, now I can make it to the next town or the next city, and you pushed it and you ran out of gas, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's 12 o'clock at night, the gas stations are closed, what am I going to do? This is way back before you had cell phones, or maybe even right now, maybe it happened to you this week, and you're like, oh, what am I? Well, you got out of it somehow. Okay, these are two examples. Other examples, the real bigger, heavy-hitting, life-threatening, taxing, challenging relationship from hell examples are when you were in the narcissistic relationship, being spun around in that washing machine of abuse. Never, ever were you catching a break. Never, ever were you able to come up and get a breath of fresh air. That's why you were walking on eggshells. That's why you became subservient to that person. That's why you became the indentured servant, the walking apology, the walking billboard, the ATM, the cook, the cleaner, and so much more, to the detriment of yourself, to the betterment of that person. Then that relationship ended. However it ended when it was supposed to end, not a minute sooner and not a minute longer. And you may say, wow, those are tough pills to swallow, Andrew. Well, they're real. Remember, there's no such thing as a coincidence on this planet. Everything happens when it's supposed to happen. And when you become awakened and aware, educated and empowered, specifically post-narcissistic relationship, you will understand what I've known for almost 5 years, that everything, and I mean everything, happens the way it's supposed to. But when that discard happened, that perhaps you experienced, came out of left field, and let's say that you came home and everything was gone, or the person that was your roommate just packed up and stole everything from you, or maybe you found out that your partner was cheating on you, or who knows what it was. You got a health challenge, they discarded you, or something happened. When that happened, then you were thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to move forward? How am I going to get out of this? That's one big part of what I'm going to share with you. The other big part is you probably were, or possibly could have been, caught up in the trauma bond. You definitely were in the narcissistic fog. Any way you look at it, you were vulnerable, You were naive and you were being picked apart left, right, and center, day in and day out by this abuser. Yes, the narcissist. They were feeding off you. They were feeding off of your money, your energy, your time, your health, your relationships, your purpose, your focus. Everything about you is being depleted. So now when that all goes away, meaning the discard took place, now you have to do something that very few people will ever do. One, you have to figure out that narcissism does exist. You did that, you're here. Number two, you have to realize that you have to get as far away from this person as fast as you possibly can. You're probably working on that. Number three is you have to realize that you were targeted because you are an empath. You're kind, loving, stable, healthy. You were committed, you were an open book, and you were uneducated on the narcissistic abusive cycle. The next thing that is the biggest pill to swallow for this part of the video is when you are discarded or when the relationship ends and you are in the trauma bond or caught up in a relationship with someone who you are accustomed to serving, tough word, but it's true, and they go away like that because they know they're trying to inflict as much damage upon you, you do not think for a moment that the sun will rise tomorrow. You don't think that there is light at the end of the tunnel. You don't think that it will get darkest before the dawn because you don't believe there is a dawn. These are coming from a person, myself, who has healed, who has taken a lot of time to introspect, to focus on myself, to rebuild. And I too, for many periods of time, thought the darkness before it's always darkest before the dawn. I thought that was just an expression because I also, 5 years ago today, and I will talk about that in a quick moment, I almost didn't make it. I almost did something that many people have done in the past that you will never even know that they did. And you should be able to read between the lines what that is. And if you've watched my videos for almost 5 years, you will know what January 6, 2021 did to me. Fast forward, today's January 6, 2026. I'm gonna give you a little numerology here. And no, I don't follow the numbers like perhaps some of you do, but the date 01/06/2021 was the day I almost ended a certain part of my life. And you should know what that is by now, meaning myself. Fast forward 5 years later. The date is 01/06/2026. This is exactly 5 years to the date when things got really nasty for me because I didn't believe that the sun would rise tomorrow. I didn't believe that tomorrow would be a new day. I didn't believe that I could make it out of that hellhole, that mindset where I was trapped. I didn't believe that the darkness before the dawn actually existed. All I saw was darkness. All I saw was emptiness. All I saw was pitch blackness. All I saw was a huge void that had just been sucked out of my life, and it all disappeared like that. That's called the discard. And the discard is meant to disrupt not only you and your energy, your time, your purpose, but it's meant to disrupt you and your existence. Play it a few times. January 6, 2021 was a very challenging morning for me, to say the least. There was a person who literally saved my life, and his name is Mr. White. It's not a coincidence I'm wearing a white shirt. Mr. White, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Whether that was your real name or not, I can't tell you. My instincts are telling me it wasn't, but any way you cut it, you weren't Mr. Blue, you weren't Mr. Red, you weren't Mr. Other colors, you were white for a reason. See that? You're getting it. The beautiful, bright, shining light that Mr. White showed me that day on a phone call, or shown me, I should say. The phone call was upwards of 2 hours. I don't remember exactly how long it was, and that's not a bad thing. But that is when a person helped me get through a period of time when they weren't responsible for doing that. Because you see, I made a phone call to contact somebody, which I won't get into right now, and to address a concern that I had. And Mr. White was a person who was there for me in some very dark times. And when he picked up the phone to answer a question that I had about one thing, he ended up giving me a long amount of time to help me stabilize myself and to help me realize that what I was concerned about wasn't what was important. What he was concerned about for me was me being here on the planet for the rest of that day and the rest of my life. And he did a remarkable job. That wasn't his job description. That wasn't his pay grade. And I can assure you that day changed his life as it changed mine. So again, Mr. White, wherever you are, if that is your name or not, I hope this video finds you and you understand that you did a magnificent job helping a person, myself, who was broken during a pandemic, left for dead, crumbled up like a sheet of paper, discarded, and I did not see that tomorrow the sun would rise. All I saw was pitch blackness around me. There's way more to that part of my life and that day of my life that I won't share in this video. I'm just going to share with you. What happened that day with Mr. White on the phone is he essentially gave me a hope. He essentially showed me a little dose of humanity that I had not experienced in years. He showed me that there are good people out there. There are people that actually want to go above and beyond the call of duty and not just fulfill their job description, but actually be a good human being and help another person 3,000 miles away from where they were in a country that probably Mr. White has never even visited, nor will he, to help that person get back to a healthy mindset, if only for a couple minutes. And that's exactly what Mr. White did. When this phone call ended, again, I'll just touch on this, then I'll get back to the thumbnail. When it ended, I was in disbelief. And I will tell you right now, I was crying uncontrollably. There was snot running down my nose. I couldn't breathe. My eyes were beet red. I could not understand how close I had just come to doing something that I did not want to do any longer. And that a human being that I would never meet in real life, in person, had the courage, had the strength, had the wherewithal, had the emotional intelligence and the humanity to help out a complete stranger, me. Now, when that happened, I really, really took a hard look at my life, not just in a minute or an hour. From that day forward, I really began to do a deep dive, not only in narcissism, but in myself, and to realize there was a much higher purpose for me existing. That period of time was 5 years ago. If you fast forward to today, now I'm creating videos out in the Carolina woods, and the sun is still rising right there. It's actually going to set, but you get my point. The sun rose for the other 1,500 days plus that it was since January 6, 2021. You see, I had all but given up hope on existing, but I made it. I made it out. And Mr. White was a pivotal period of that day to help me to see that perhaps things would improve. There are way more parts to this day in my life that I will not mention in this video. I'll just share with you that the narcissists, what they do is they want to twist your mind inside out. They want to continue to spin you around on that hamster wheel of abuse, on the roller coaster of toxicity, and they do not want you ever to make it out in one piece. The narcissist doesn't want people to live to tell tales of the truth. The narcissist doesn't want the beautiful, bright, shining light to shine brighter than the sun, the moon, and the stars. The narcissist doesn't want the positive energy, the abundance to show through. The narcissist lives in the quagmires. They live in creeping corners. They lurk in the shadows. The narcissist is a low vibrational creature. And what they try to do was take you, your mindset, your purpose, your focus, everything about you, and have you not believe that the sun would rise tomorrow. So, to tie up this part of the video, then I will get ready to close it in a few moments. When you are having a challenging hour, maybe you're having a challenging half day, maybe you're having a challenging evening, maybe it's a weekend, maybe it's a week, maybe you're going through the dark night of the soul that I went through, and I do not wish that upon anybody. Then again, I don't wish the narcissistic relationship on anybody, and I certainly don't wish a January 6, 2021 for anybody. What I wish is narcissism would be eradicated, but that's not going to happen in my lifetime. My hope is it happens in yours. But when the narcissist, when you realize that the sun does rise and that the narcissist tried their best to exterminate you, to extinguish you, to expunge you, to eliminate you, because all they cared about was making themselves feel good at your expense. When you realize that, then you shift your energy back into yourself. Now, does it happen overnight? Absolutely not. Does it happen over time? Absolutely it does. Which is why in so many videos over the years, I've shared with this with you, and I'll share it again. The further you get away from the narcissist, the more clear your mind gets. The clearer your mind gets, the stronger you get. The stronger you get, the weaker the narcissist gets. The weaker the narcissist gets, the less pull they have on you. The less pull they have on you, the more you begin to cut the four tethers: the emotional, the financial, the physical, and the spiritual tether. As you cut those, you elevate and you ascend and you become what I call more and more of your authentic self, which is the beautiful, bright, shining light. This is what the narcissists tried their best to stop you from accomplishing. They didn't want you to find your purpose. They did not want you to fill your purpose. They did not want you to do anything other than to stay stuck in that low vibrational trance-like, zombie-like state, the narcissistic fog, or maybe even the trauma bond, doing things for them. When they discarded you, they didn't think you would make it. They probably mocked you. They probably sneered at you. They probably gave you the smirk or the side eye and said, well, you better start doing something. Or maybe they just gave you the cold shoulder, the silent treatment. Or maybe they blamed you. Or maybe they did all of the above. Maybe they still continue to try to destroy your life. Who knows what they did, but I know one thing. They didn't sit down and have that cup of coffee with you and say, yeah, I'm a raging narcissist from hell, and I tried my best to destroy your life. And I knew what I was doing because this is what I do. And every time I watched you fall apart, or every time I watched you try to break the silent treatment, or every time I watched you rack up the credit card bill, even though I was having you pay for my life and I didn't even care about the things that you were paying for, I was getting supply from that. When you realize these kind of things, and that the narcissist is twisted, they are a bottomless pit that must be filled with what is known as supply. When you realize those things, then you wrap your head around, oh my gosh, I was in a place I didn't know existed. I was in a mindset that I will never, ever go back to again. I was being controlled via the smartphone that I kept in my pocket or purse. No matter where the narcissist was, they kept me on that invisible leash using my smartphone as a remote control. And I would do anything to appease them because I was hoping to get a little breadcrumb of anything. Well, when you were in it, you didn't know what you know now. Now that you know, you need to stay out of that mindset. You need to stay away from the narcissist. You need to realize it is the darkness, the darkest, it's always darkest before the dawn. That expression is completely true and accurate. Many times people, when they're really, really in a dark space, really, no matter what it is, including narcissism and other spaces, they think they'll do anything just to get through it, just to get out. One more day, just give me another chance, I'll do it. I'm not saying another chance with the narcissist. I'm saying, example, using the car on the freeway, you ran out of gas. I won't do it again, I promise. Remember those kind of things? Of course you did. But when you realize that the relationship you were in, it was life-threatening, it was challenging, it was a person who was a wolf in sheep's clothing, acting like they cared about you and loved you and respected you and honored you and cherished you and wanted to grow old with you and all these things. Well, that wasn't reality. What reality is, they were cheating on you, they were lying to you, they were stealing from you, they were using the smear campaign to blow up everything about you. And they did it knowingly, willingly, and intentionally. And they didn't think you would make it. Just like the narcissists in the past didn't think I would make it. But I did, and I'm here. And again, because I'm here, you made it this far in the video. Because I made it through January 6, 2021, I am here on January 6, 2025, or 2026. I will be here again next year, and the year after, and the year after, and the year after. Because that day to me, truth be told, right now I tap into it to create videos. But if I didn't create videos, and I will for the rest of my life, it would just be another day to me. It really would. But in 2021, it was anything but. That changed the trajectory of my life exponentially. You must remember, I was still in the trauma bond. I was still learning about narcissism. I was still broken. It was the holidays. It was a pandemic. Detached retina, left for dead, no money, etc. I could go on and on and on. If you look at any of my videos from way back then, which my first video ever created was called Glad You Made It. I have a whole playlist on that. That first video was created March 31st, which was a Thursday night, 2021. Coming up on 5 years creating videos every single day for you, for the planet, for the community, for the abundance, for the positivity, for the empath, and for anybody who is wise enough to apply the wisdom that I provide for you with each and every video. Remember, at one point we all were the new supply. At one point we were uneducated. At one point we were believing in the mask. And at one point we were trusting the abuser. Well, when that all goes away, whenever it does and however it does, and you heal and heal properly, then you realize, yeah, the sun will rise tomorrow, and that, yeah, life still will throw challenges at you. They won't be nearly as big as the narcissistic relationship from hell, but you'll still have challenges thrown at you, as we all do, but you'll make it through because you're stronger than you know. You're battle tested, you're galvanized. That's why I say in videos, you've risen through the ashes like a phoenix. You've dusted yourself off by the bootstraps, and you have put yourself back together against all odds. Think about what I'm telling you, then I will close the video. Nobody told you what narcissism was. Nobody warned you. Nobody told you, hey, you should get away from that person. Quite the opposite. You were fed to the lions. You were being blamed. You were being trapped, and you were being stuck in that hamster wheel, on that hamster wheel of abuse. You, against all odds, made it out in one piece. That is a very, very difficult thing to do. Second thing you did is you kept on maintaining your empathy and your level of love and abundance, and you kept on doing the right thing no matter what, because I know you did. That is extremely hard to do. Number 3, you cracked the code. You figured out what narcissism is. Again, these are 3 massive things you've accomplished. Very few people will do any one of those 3. Next thing you've done is you've either gone no contact or you will. Huge, big step. Number 4 or 5, whatever number I'm on, you became a student of toxicity. You became a person who would be absorbing as much information based on your real life experience with all of the videos you've watched and from all the journaling and from all the meditations and healing childhood wounds and all the things you've had to do to put yourself back together. Now you see the world the way it really is. And the last thing you've done against all odds is you made it. You are here, and I am glad you made it, as I am glad that I made it 5 years ago. You are one of the people who has broken the generational curse. You're one of the people who has risen to the ashes like a phoenix against all odds. Imagine, if you will, you were in a boxing ring with the biggest boxer or the most well-known boxer or UFC or MMA fighter of all time, whoever you're thinking, and you were in that ring with them for, let's say, 3 rounds, 5 rounds, 10, whatever a length of a fight is these days or about. And no, I don't watch these things, so I'll stick with my wheelhouse boxing in the old days. It was a 15-round boxing match with you and whoever you're considering. Well, you haven't trained, you're not a boxer, but you're thrust in the ring. The boxer's a pro, they know what they've done because they're 58-0, they haven't lost a fight in their lives or a bout in their lives, and now you're in there. And what do you have? Nobody in your corner, not one person. And again, there's no script here, I'm just talking free flow. And see how the abundance flows through me? No one's in your corner in the boxing ring. I hope you're getting this. Having said all those things, what happens? Well, you made it through round 1. You made it through round 2. Round 3, you get knocked down. Round 4, your lip is bleeding. Round 5, your eardrum's broken. Round 6, you have cracked ribs. Round 7, you don't want to go back in there, but you do. You make it all the way to round 14, and then what happens? This person in the boxing ring that you're in, they're looking at you saying, I've thrown everything in the kitchen sink at you. How are you still standing? You should have been knocked out in the 6th round. I can't believe this. And what do? They wind up the haymaker of a lifetime, and they really, really focus on what part of your body they're going to pound as hard as they possibly can. And they lay back and they take multiple swings. Boom, boom, boom. And you are knocked down on the canvas. This is the 15th round, I'll say. If I said it's the 14th, I meant the 15th. And the judge or the referee walks over and is giving you a count. 1, 2, 3. And this person who's been abusing you your whole life, in this example for 15 rounds, goes back in their corner. They're watching you on the canvas. You're bludgeoned. You don't even know what's going on. In the old cartoon days, there's stars and birds flying around your head. You don't know. You can't see. You don't know. And then the referee says 8, 9. And what do? You begin to lift yourself up. You put the one knee up. You put both your hands on the other knee. You stand up. Ding, ding, ding. The match is over. What happens? You won. You got off the canvas. The person who thought they knocked you out, they didn't. Their record is blemished. They lose. And they've lost ever since you broke it. This is why you're stronger than you know. And this is why you need to understand the energy flows through me and it flows through you. And you need to understand that the sun will rise tomorrow. So today, if you're experiencing a challenging day, or tomorrow or over the weekend or whenever it is, you need to realize it's usually darkest before the dawn, and the dawn is a new day. The dawn is the light. The dawn is abundance. The dawn is a new hope, a new opportunity, a new direction, a new trajectory. And what that is getting as far away from the narcissist as fast as you possibly can. And that's what I've done, and that's what my hope is that you've done or you are doing. So everyone, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the beautiful Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning. No matter where you are on the planet, you are not alone. I love you all, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Special thanks to you, Mr. White. I love you. I'll never meet you in person, but I hope this video finds you. And if it doesn't, you're still connected to me, and you always will be through your energy. So thank you. Number 2, this video is for you. If you made it this far in the video, you need to recognize if where you are is where you want to be. Great job. Stay there. if where you are isn't where you want to be and there's work to be done, maybe you have a health challenge, or maybe you have to pay a bill, or maybe you're still breaking a tie from the narcissist, or maybe you have to sell your house, or whatever it is, focus on what you can control. You need to do this work. You need to do it just like I had to do it. And number 3, you need to recognize and realize that it usually is darkest before the dawn. Usually people think it's never going to get better, but it does, and it will, specifically when you get away from the narcissist, specifically when you focus on yourself and you realize you've been to hell and back probably multiple times, but you are still here. The reason you're here is a testament to your courage, to your resilience, to your education, and to your perseverance. I believe in you way more than you will ever know. You need to believe in yourself the way I believe in you. You need to believe in yourself the way Mr. White believed in me. And you need to believe that tomorrow the sun will rise and it will be a better day. So that's the video. I hope you liked it. I love doing it. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I love you all. Namaste. I am so grateful to be here creating videos, and I will continue to do this for the rest of my life and pay it forward. My hope is you got value out of this video. If you did, play it a few times and share it with anybody who could use some wisdom. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Enjoy yourselves. I love you. Bye. Love you, Mr. White. I love you. Bye.